What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Leizel. So for today's video, I'm coming to you guys with my top 5 favorite drugstore foundations. I pretty much went through my collection and picked out 5 of my favorites that I have used throughout the years, that I've fallen in love with, and if anybody were to ever ask me what foundation I would recommend from the drugstore, one of these would definitely be on that list. If you are new to my channel and you just so happen to be stumbling across this video, for reference, I am an oily skin type, so all of these foundations are perfect for that. They do provide coverage as well as a little bit of oil control. But for the price that you pay, being a drugstore foundation, they are just an all-around great product. So when I tell you that it isn't necessary to go big and pay extra dollars for that high-end foundation, I really mean it, because I honestly believe the things that I'm going to show you guys today are definitely well worth the price. And I truly believe that there are a lot of great drugstore products that work just as well as higher end, especially in the foundation department. So if you guys are interested to find out what my top 5 favorite drugstore foundations are, keep on watching. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like it before you leave it, and if you're new, you know what to do. Join the crew by hitting the little red subscribe button down below. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so first things first, as I mentioned in the intro, I do have a naturally oily skin type, which does mean at times I do find that I have larger pores and a little bit of texture going on with my skin. However, I do feel like all of these foundations that I'm going to show you guys today really do help with combating that. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind as I'm giving these recommendations, that it really does come down to each individual person and how things cooperate with your skin. I feel like it really also starts with skincare as well as your base in terms of like primers and whatnot, but just as a general recommendation of foundations, I think these ones are perfect for oily skin types. So with that being said, jumping into it now, I have here the OG. I'm pretty sure this, aside from Revlon Color Stay, which we all know and love, however, I'm not including that in this video because that for me was like war paint days when I was like a teenager trying to cover up my whole face. But yeah, aside from that, the L'Oreal True Match Super-Blendable Foundation. This was one of my first ever liquid foundations that I tried as a 17-year-old when I started really getting into makeup. As you guys can see, this particular shade isn't my shade match at this point in time, but in saying that, I do have quite a few different shades to kind of mix and blend together when my skin changes with seasons. But that's also to put a note to the fact that they do offer a wide variety of shades. I believe they offer 40 different shades of this foundation, which I don't know if you guys have noticed, sometimes it's hard to come across with a drugstore foundation that offers such a wide variety of shades for all different skin colors. So yeah, as I mentioned, this was one of my first liquid foundations that I used and fell in love with as a 17-year-old, and it's still stuck with me to this day, and I'm 29 now. Over the years, this has had a little bit of a revamp in terms of formula and packaging, but this one is well known right now for being skincare infused. It is infused with hyaluronic acid, which, as you may know, is great for the skin. So I feel like this one isn't necessarily like a mattifying foundation. It covers your skin, it gives you good coverage, as the name suggests, is super blendable. But the finish of this is that of a more natural, radiant, healthy look. It's one of those foundations that you really can't go wrong with because it is going to provide you with that coverage. You can of course keep it light or build it up to be intense and full without it looking cakey or feeling cakey on the skin, which is why this has been an OG and always will be. Next up, we have the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Full Coverage Foundation, and yes, this definitely lives up to the name of being full coverage and super staying, because this foundation does not budge. Now, it does say that it provides full coverage for 24 hours, which I have not tested yet, because let's face it, I don't know anybody who wears their foundation for that long. But when you wear this, you guys, literally, as I said, it will not budge. It is super full coverage, but it's not heavy in that sense. I have used a lot of foundations in the past where it gives you the coverage. It's full coverage, covers every single imperfection, pore, line, all of that, but it's heavy on the skin. This, however, is not like that. It is very, very lightweight. So as I said, it does all of that. It covers all of your pores, your imperfections, scarring, pigmentation, whatever you may have. this stuff will cover it up. But the finish of it is, as I said, lightweight. It's not heavy on the skin. It does provide a natural finish to the skin, but it's more of a natural matte finish. So it does help to mattify the skin in that sense. If you are an oily skin person like me, this is definitely one to try out for yourself because it does have an oil-free formula and it's also dermatologist tested, so it's one of those formulas that isn't going to clog your pores. I'm yet to do a personal comparison, but I've heard that this foundation actually is a dupe for the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation, which, as you guys may know, is great for us oily skin people. However, it is a little bit higher in price point, so the fact that you can get something similar from the drugstore is always a plus. So yes, definitely one to recommend to those of you guys who have oily skin like me. Next up, I have another mattifying foundation to recommend to you guys, and this one is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Mattifying Foundation. This foundation, you guys, I went through a period of time where I wore this every single day. Well, like on the days when I would wear foundation, such as to work and stuff, I would wear this constantly. Like, this was my go-to drugstore mattifying foundation. I do believe that they have had a recent revamp in terms of their packaging. I mean, it's exactly the same, it's just got like a bit of a different design. But if you're looking for something that is full coverage and mattifying, again, this one is amazing for that. Similar to the Maybelline Superstay foundation, this is definitely a full coverage mattifying finish and it does not fade on your skin. Again, the formula of this is very lightweight, so it's providing you with that full coverage while not being cakey and heavy on the skin, which you guys know I do not like the feeling of foundation on my skin. Liquid foundation particularly, I always try to look for ones that don't feel too heavy on the skin because I just don't like that feeling of like suffocating. I feel like claustrophobic. I know that sounds strange, but in terms of foundation, this one is very lightweight on the skin. So even though this is marketed as a mattifying foundation, which don't get me wrong, it does dry down to that of a natural skin-like finish. I believe there is like serums in this that does provide blurring on the skin, which is great if you have pores or texture that you kind of want to blur out. And after applying this to the skin, I do feel like it dries down to that of a powder. So if you want to, you don't even have to set it with a powder, which, as I said, and I've mentioned many times already in the video, I do have oily skin, so I typically always want to set my foundations with a powder. However, with this one, I do not feel like that is necessary. So again, another amazing mattifying foundation that doesn't break the bank. I feel like this is definitely one to try. I feel like L'Oreal actually does have a lot of amazing foundations within their brand. Something about them, they just don't get it wrong. And in terms of color, I feel like if we're talking drugstore foundations, I truly believe that L'Oreal does provide the best drugstore foundations for those of us who have a really warm yellow undertone. Because don't get me wrong, I do love other brands like Maybelline and Revlon. However, in terms of color selection and being able to find something that matches my super yellow olive undertone, I feel like L'Oreal never gets it wrong. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind too. But yes, as I mentioned, if you are an oily skin type looking for something that is going to give you full coverage and isn't heavy on the skin, definitely check this one out. Next one that I have to show you guys is actually one that I have to specifically order online because we do not have this here in Australia, and it is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I'd heard awesome things about this foundation a while ago and I wanted to try it out for myself. I mean, pretty sure this is super inexpensive over in the US, like $6 or something ridiculous like that. And I'll admit, sometimes I was a little bit hesitant when it came to trying products that were a little bit cheaper in terms of price point, just because as a society, I feel like we're kind of taught that if things are cheaper, then they're not as good in terms of quality. However, this foundation does not apply to that. So yeah, as I said, we do not have this in Australia. We don't actually have Wet n Wild here at all. However, good news to my fellow Aussies, I'm pretty sure Priceline is going to be stocking Wet n Wild soon. I've seen a couple little products pop up on the website, not the foundation yet, but I've seen like a little sprinkle of some things, so I feel like they're kind of hinting that they're going to be stocking Wet n Wild soon. But yes, I do have to order this online whenever I need to stock up again, and I'm willing to do that because this foundation is that good. I don't know how to perfectly describe the finish of this foundation. It's not completely matte, but it's not completely radiant. It's like a good in between. It just gives your skin a really nice natural finish that isn't matte but not luminous in that sense. It's like a good in between. As the name suggests, it is photo focus, like photo ready. I do remember what drew me towards this foundation in the first place is that they had claimed that they tested it in several different lighting conditions, and then has this light adjusting formula that prevents it from giving you a white cast, which, as you guys know, sometimes we've all been there. We've all experienced the flashback Mary moment. But this foundation, I truly feel, does provide that really camera ready type of finish to it. I've used this in many different tutorials on my channel, so it is definitely a favorite of mine. And for the price, $6, like, you can't go wrong with that. I just hope that Wet n Wild really does come across to Australia and release their products here, because this one I feel like everybody needs to try, and for being the price that it is at least you gotta try it. Like, it's a must try. I'll admit the first time I tried it, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, but this has been a favorite of mine for years and I just can't go back now. Last but not least, you guys, yes, this is another L'Oreal foundation. As you guys can tell, I am a big fan of L'Oreal, so this is the infallible 24-hour Stay Fresh foundation. And if I had to recommend you guys one from all the 5 that I've showed you today, this is probably my current favorite, and it has been a favorite of mine for quite some time now. So the reason why I love this so much is because it really lives up to the name, as it says, Stay Fresh. You guys know that I've mentioned I do have an oily skin type. I've got pores, I have oils, like all of that stuff that comes with oily skin, I have it. Texture, it's there. But the finish that this foundation gives me and the way that it makes my face glow, that is why I have to say that this is my favorite out of all the 5 that I've showed you today. This one really provides a great finish to the skin. I can't even begin to stress that enough. It gives you, of course, full coverage, but when it dries down, your face just looks so radiant and glowy, and I feel like it helps your skin look super hydrated, which is amazing in a foundation that gives you full coverage. It doesn't dry down matte like, say, the other mattifying formulas that I've spoken about today, but the finish of this, like, if I want to look like I'm glowing from within, this is what I'd go for. I do believe that this has some type of hyaluronic formula within it, which is why it's able to keep your skin looking so fresh and moisturized. And in terms of coverage, yes, this is full coverage. You can of course wear it light, but you can definitely build this up to be full coverage, and it doesn't look cakey on the skin at all. It still keeps you looking like you're glowing from within, and I once again love it. I mean, like I said, L'Oreal, I'm a big fan of their foundations. I especially love the fact that they get the yellow undertone really right when it comes to my skin tone. And yeah, I just love the fact that it's able to provide that full coverage look to the skin without feeling or looking cakey at all. Like I said, it gives you that real glow from within type of look. And once again, it is a 24-hour foundation, which of course I have not tested that out for myself. But for what it does for me in a day, keeping me looking like I'm fresh, glowy, without kicking up, it doesn't fade, doesn't crease up on me. Definitely my favorite out of all the foundations that I've shown you guys today. And if I had to pick one for you guys to go out and buy for yourself, it would definitely be this one right here. So there we have it, you guys. Those are my top 5 drugstore foundation recommendations. I want you to comment down below and let me know if any of these are ones that you have tried, or if you like them, if you don't like them. Comment down below and let me know what you think. If you did enjoy this video or you found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like it before you leave it. And if you're still here at the end watching and you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing by hitting the little red button down below before you go, so you don't miss any more videos that I post. If you guys missed the names of any of the foundations that I spoke about today, you can check out the description box below. I'll have them listed and written out down there as well. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys are having an awesome day or night wherever you are. I hope you are staying safe, looking after yourselves, and looking out for each other. I will talk to you in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video.